What's going on, everybody? Going to be a pretty short recap today because there wasn't a whole lot that happened. We had some sweep trades, we had a value retrace, and that was pretty much about it. So give me about 10-15 minutes of your time. We're going to go over the whole day. So starting off with ES here, we had a pretty decent daily close. You closed not above the high of yesterday, but above most of the value. We did want to close probably around 60 to 80 for it to be very bullish. We closed right on that value high around 50, but it doesn't look like a bearish candle in the sense of like a lower high or anything like that. So a decent close, continuing that choppy trend to the upside. NASDAQ, pretty much the same story, not the strongest close. You did close slightly above 900, probably wanted to close above 22,000 to be a decent close for the aggressive buyers. Looks like the responsive buyers, the buyers that are buying the pullbacks, are still controlling this trend, which does look like a vertical distribution on the daily. So yeah, decent close, not overly bullish. We'll see what it does tomorrow. Little snapshot of the other markets. The bond yields are down 1.25 after the 30-year bond auction today. The dollar's down about 0.6, euro up about the same. USD JPY down about 0.3. Bitcoin taking a little bit of a move down, minus 1.4%. Gold up about 0.4%. So not overall a significant day. Bitcoin probably moving the strongest, down a little bit. Let's take a look at our trade plan for today and how it played out. So with ES, we were looking for holding above 15. We were looking for 51, damn near the high of day to the tick. So we did get that target at 51. Did not get the breakout into 75. And then holding below 15, we were going to look for 91 and 57. Obviously, did not hold below 15. Had a pretty strong open. NASDAQ, we were looking for holding above 888s. We were looking for 22,047, which was the value high of yesterday. We did not get that on the move up. It stalled a little bit before the POC. To the downside, holding below 888s, we were looking for 700 and 470. Didn't really hold below the 888 level. It did for about 30 minutes, but then we broke it pretty much right away. You did not finish that value retrace on NASDAQ, so that would be what we call an incomplete auction. So you could say that if this is not filled in by tomorrow, then we are seeing a market structure shift to the downside. Okay, so we had a couple of trades today. One we kind of covered just then. We had the value retrace, and let me go back. It's probably easier to see on this chart. We had the value retrace of yesterday's value. So yesterday's value was 15 up to 51. Once you started seeing significant buy pressure above that 15 level, we were looking for that retrace back into 51. If we wanted to target the POC at around 27 to 28, we could have. But yeah, the full retrace into 51 was completed. It did take a bit. If you got out early, you could have gotten out around 11 o'clock. If you did not get out early, you pretty much had to hold through all that chop into the close. But that value retrace was completed. So what you typically look for with value retraces is obviously you have the prior day's value. And then let's take today, for example. We have value building outside of that value to the downside. So we want to look for that value retracing back into that prior day. So we want to look for that pushback above the value low of the prior day. So in this case, the example was right here. You started to push back above that level. Once you start seeing significant volume nodes or delta respecting that area as a support, then we can look for that full retrace back into the value high. Okay. And I'll show that here on the order flow here in a second. Now, if we were to start buying, let's say, into that value low, and then you have a lot of bearish delta building here, then it's probably going to use that as a resistance level, and we're going to continue lower into those prior lows. But in today's example, which I'll show you here in a second, we pretty much had bullish delta and bullish volume above that 15 level right away. They were fighting over it for about, let me see here. It was for about maybe 15 to 20 minutes. You were kind of going back and forth. You had these nodes down here. But if you look at these nodes, they are below the 15 level, but they're almost entirely bullish. Pretty much all the delta down here is bullish. You had one little cluster of bearish delta on the low there, and it didn't do anything. It just got stuck and then pushed back up. So all of this volume, and we see these big volume nodes here, they're not threatening us in any way. They were actually acting as support and helping this trade higher. And then we started to really establish this node right here above 15, which was around 19. Then we had a node at 21, and then so on and so forth. So once you started having this node at 19 and 21, that was kind of your signal that that value retrace was beginning. So that was the first big trade of the day. After that, the next major trade was this impulse up was the B candle, I believe, the B session. And it created single prints going down to 29. So as you were pushing up, I talked about this on stream, this was a vertical distribution, which was very hard to short. You basically could not short this. But then we had the single prints come in. So if we could find some type of short setup, we could target those single prints as our main exit. The short setup was the sweep. We had a sweep at that 45 high. You tried to break out, which you did, but it stalled pretty much immediately, which was this level right here. You stalled, you put in a lower high, you lost the 24 EMA, you put in another lower high below the 24, and then straight back to VWAP, which was also the single print, and to the absolute tick. If you want to see that play out live, go back and watch the live stream. But yeah, we came back to the single print zone, to the absolute tick, and that was with the help of some headlines. There were some bearish headlines coming out at the time. And then unfortunately, after that, there really wasn't any major trades. You could have traded the bull flag into VWAP. So you guys know I love the bear flag into VWAP as a great trade. The bull flag into VWAP is an okay trade. It's not as good as the bear flag. But if you are holding VWAP as a very obvious support, then you can use that as a buy point and then target prior highs, value high, whatever it may be. Besides that bull flag into VWAP, you pretty much just chopped in a vertical distribution for the rest of the day. And this was a 5-minute vertical distribution, which looks a lot better than the 1 minute. You can see we just chop, distribute, chop, distribute, chop, distribute. Right. So 3 clean trades today. The value retrace of the prior day, which was completed on ES. It was not completed on NASDAQ. You had the single print that started out as a sweep, which, by the way, single prints are not entries. They are targets. The same as gaps, the same as fair value gaps, stuff like that, right? They are levels that you can target, like a POC node, but you don't want to enter on that POC node. You don't want to enter because there are single prints. You need a reasoning to enter that trade. You need a setup. And today, the setup was the sweep or the lower highs. You had a bunch of, where is it? Sorry, I was on the 5 minute. On the 1 minute, you had a bunch of lower highs around that time. Right here. Lower highs, lower highs. Okay. So we had a reason to take a short there into the single prints. We don't just blindly enter the single prints. If you would have blindly entered, you would have entered here and you would have lost that trade. Okay. So after the single prints, you had the bull flag into VWAP, which you could have bought the retest of VWAP right here. And that was pretty much it. So like I said, pretty boring recap. Not a whole lot to talk about today. Was pretty choppy. But all right, guys, that is it hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.